Hi, my name's Ben. I work with business development here at Dweller, and today I'm just going to go through a quick demo highlighting how builder fees work on Hyperliquid and how you can access that data with our gRPC service. So here we have a dashboard which is updating with the builder fees from the last, I think I've been running this for about 12 hours now. And then you can see the different builders that we have here. Some of them should be fairly familiar. We can see how much revenue they have collected in these green numbers next to the bar, and underneath the green numbers are the total volume that they've created on chain, and then after that is the basis points in terms of the fees they're charging. And that's particularly interesting when you look down at these. I mean, when you look at these more known brands, MetaMask and Phantom, they're taking a significantly higher cut of the trades that they're making compared to some of these less known apps. So that's very interesting. So just to go through what we're going to build today. So we have the Hyperliquid node and the Dweller gRPC service, which sits on top of that. What this gRPC service allows you to access is information from the node, which is otherwise unavailable. Then we fetch that information with a very simple Python backend, and then pipe some information to the React front end. Just so you know what I'm talking about when we're talking about our gRPC service, here we have the Dweller documentation, and if we come to gRPC API, we can see there is a few different streams, but what we're going to be talking about today is the stream fills stream. And if we just scroll down to the fulfill spec, we can see here what one might expect to receive when subscribing to the stream. And there's a bunch of different information, including the trading pair, the fill size, the trading position, was it an ask or a bid. But what we're mostly interested in is these parameters down here. So the fee token, the builder, and then the builder fee. And so we're using these to construct this dashboard, which is something that is interesting, as I've seen in the various communities. So let's have a quick look at some code. Let's just make this a bit bigger. So I'm going to put this on our GitHub after I've created the video. We have two simple folders here. We have the backend, so let's have a look at that. In this backend, we have the environment variables that you're going to need, and the first thing is a gRPC endpoint. That's very easy to get. You can come to dashboard.dweller.com or go to dweller.com and click login up here. Once you're there, you can come over here to endpoints and type in gRPC, and then you'll be able to grab your endpoint here. If it's not activated, you'll be able to activate a 3-day trial. And then after that point, the gRPC service is an add-on, and you also have to pay for the usage that you're generating with our service. So once you have this, you can add this gRPC endpoint in, and then you're actually good to go. That's all you need to do. However, what we're going to do is actually that's not all you need to do. So once you've created this environment, then you'll have to create the virtual environment for this Python backend. All of this is in the README here. Let me just scroll up to that README. So you need to get into your backend folder, create this virtual environment, and pip install the requirements. Similarly for the front end, you open up your front end file npm install, and then in this main folder we have this bash script, which is to enable you to start both of those services. So the Python backend can connect to the gRPC service, and then the front end can connect to the Python backend. So let's just have a quick look at some of these components. So the config file here, this is setting up the connection to the gRPC backend, and then it's also setting up some information around the builder info, and I can just jump over to that. So what I've done is I know that I've gotten these builder codes from other platforms that are out there, and then I've associated those with a name, a brand color, and an image. This is all just to make the front end look nice and to provide a bit of a better user experience, so that when I'm explaining builder codes, you know who builders are and there's some recognition there. So this is all in the config file. So it's just doing those two things. So you don't need to do anything here. Of course you can, but it's not necessary. Then you have the gRPC client, and this is just making sure that we're connecting to the stream fills stream, passing in our API key as metadata, which happens here. So if you use a dedicated node with us, you won't need to do this, but this is for those using the API service, and getting some information from the block itself. So you don't need to do anything here either. This is just the ensuring that you can connect to the Dweller backend. Then we have the Dweller stats.py script, and what this does is this is aggregating the stats. So it's a bit over the top in order to make the front end look nice, but what we're doing is we're extracting all of the information from that block and then putting it into a nice format that can be sent back to the front end. So that's what's happening in this program here. And then finally, all of this is coming together where we're connecting to the back end. We are connecting to the gRPC client, and then as these fills come in, we're going through and building out the stats aggregator. And if there are things to be updated, then we're updating those aggregated stats, and then broadcasting that to the front end. So pretty simple, or it's not super simple, but it's not that complicated. We also have other gRPC examples which are a lot more simple. I can just quickly show some of them, and we've just updated them actually. So stream fills. So this is just one Python file that shows you how to connect to the gRPC stream and print out those blocks. So we're connecting to the client. There's some different arguments that you can set when connecting to the client, and when we are connected to the client, we start printing out the blocks based on the parameters that we set at the start. So this is also in the GitHub repo, and I'll share this as well. Yes, so for the front end, let's have a quick look at that, although I presume that's not as interesting to most of this audience, but let's have a look in any case. So the main thing that we want to look at here is this use WebSocket function. And this is what the front end uses to manage the WebSocket connection and handle the automatic reconnection and pass the messages to print to the screen. This is the function that you want to look at if you're running into any issues or you want to sort of add some functionality here. So that's basically it. I'm going to put this up on GitHub, and so that you can play around with it. Some useful ways one could use this is a lot of our customers are building applications so that they can start collecting some of their fees. I wonder why. And so those customers are interested in tracking these builder fees. I've also been in touch with some organizations that are wanting to reward their customers based on the fees that they're collecting. So, you know, our company is making $100,000 in fees per day, and we want to kick back 20% of those fees to our users via our token. So that's one mechanism that I've heard out there. Otherwise, I just think it's very interesting to look at this data from an analytical perspective and see how the market works, who's taking the most amount of money, and why is that? Yeah, I mean, it's very clear to see here that MetaMask and Phantom are the dominant players in terms of revenue being generated here. I wouldn't say that I'm the biggest fan of the MetaMask product. Phantom, I'm more of a fan. And I can only assume Dreamcash-based Infinex, these other products, I can only assume they're very good products, which is why they're able to generate this kind of revenue. So I think this is quite interesting. The other thing that I will mention is that this is just a streaming demo. I haven't included any historical information in this demo. We have all that historical information, so if I wanted to, I could quite easily just go back in time and create larger data sets, and perhaps I will do that. But if you're watching and you want access to historical data, then make sure you get in touch so that we can figure out sort of what data that you need and how we can get that to you. And then I'll also touch on one more thing, which is that in our documentation, I have recently updated the stream blocks documentation, and it now shows all of the different types of actions that replica command stores. So builder fees is just one of these types of actions or one of these data points, but there's a host of other data points which are potentially interesting to the applications you are building. So if you're a bit unsure of what certain things mean on Hyperliquid, then come and have a look at this page and see if the answers are here. And if the answers are not here, then please get in touch with us, and we'll make sure that we get the answers, and we'll add them to some documentation, because I know there's quite a bit of confusion around these kinds of things from time to time. Yeah, thanks for listening if you've made it this far, and if you need anything, please get in touch. Bye.